Mr. Secretary, earlier in the remarks, Chairman Whitfield noted about your predecessor and his aversion to fossil fuels. Very clear, and he made that throughout the 4 years he was there, making that clear with it. It manifested itself in the budget with increasing monies being spent on renewable energies sources on R&D, but a decrease in fossil energy R&D. So I've got a chart that shows that what happened in the time preceding his administration, and then in the last, you see the direction we've gone in fossil fuel research. So I'm just concerned with that. Not only the direction, but also because I found I'm trying to reconcile the information that your office apparently had provided from your predecessor, and that was over the $421 million is indicated there at the end. It says that's a 24.8% increase. Mr. Secretary, just saying so doesn't mean it. So I'm trying to understand if your office can get back to explain why they think that's a 24% increase, when in reality you can see that it's a fairly significant decrease in funding for the National Energy Technology Laboratory. I'm sure that Mr. Doyle and Murphy and all those of us that have an interest in those facilities, that we don't see that money cut any further. So my point here with this a little bit is that during your Senate confirmation, you said you were, and there were statements to that effect and newspaper articles, how you're supporting the CCS research in R&D. Mm-hmm. And I applaud you for that, because we need to have that. I'm a little concerned whether you'll be able to carry that out if we continue to have a lessening amount of money in the R&D with Nettle. So the question that I would ask is, are you supporting the President's proposed decrease in funding for Nettle? Or will you make an effort to alter or work with us to alter it so that we can get that money back up to a more reasonable level?
First of all, I think there is, again, I think not shown on this graph is the $3+ billion of Recovery Act funding that's already been put out there for the CCS projects. So that's one.
This all came from the Congressional Research Service.
Yeah, but I think that's separate. So I think we need to look at the whole picture. The other thing is, and I just don't know from this picture, okay. NETL also receives $12.5 million a year for research from the Royalty Trust Fund. Now, I think the bottom line is, however, that in my view, frankly, back in 1999, we were part of forming NETL from the previous FETC. Okay. And I think that NETL is our lead laboratory for fossil energy research.
Thank you.
And I work with...
If I could, and I appreciate you, we're going to have more of a discussion. But there were some other remarks earlier, and I want to maybe parse the words a little bit. You said that it's indisputable that there is global temperature change. I don't know too many of us would disagree that there hasn't been some global temperature change. Mm-hmm. But my question do you agree with Congressman Waxman that it's primarily man-made, or is it natural and cyclical?
I believe, in my view, there is no question that a major component is anthropogenic.
Interesting.
And that comes from...
Is that from a consensus?
It is practically, I would say 98% of scientists involved in this area.
But you're aware of the petition process. If 32,000 scientists and physicists have disagreed that it's man-made. They say it's contributing. I think it'd be irresponsible to say we don't contribute. But is it primarily?
If I may say, I'd be happy to come and have a longer discussion, but a few facts that first of all, the rise in CO2 emissions in the last half century is clearly tracked to our global increased energy use. Secondly, I know how to count. I can count how many CO2 molecules have gone out from fossil fuel combustion, and I know how many additional CO2 molecules are in the atmosphere.
Let me just close with saying, in terms of consensus, I think consensus has a place in politics, but consensus doesn't have a place in science.
Again, sir, I just want to clarify, my judgment is based on numbers, on data, and not on the consensus, and I would be really delighted if we could have a discussion.
If we could have that, I'd like to do that. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you.
Gentleman's time has expired. Chair recognizes the member from Virgin Islands, Ms. Christensen, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and welcome, Secretary Moniz. And thank you for your testimony, and we look forward to working with you to implement your and the President's agenda for the